Good morning and welcome back to Minds Over Magic, the podcast where psychology meets romantasy. I'm Katya, a romantasy reader.
And I'm Catherine, your resident psychologist and psychotherapist.
Today we're analyzing chapters 6 to 10 of Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, book 2 in the Empyrean series. Things in Basgiath are looking bleak and murderous, but we do get new characters, and I'm excited about that.
Woohoo! In these chapters, we're really looking at how control operates. Through fear, through silence, and through shaping what people are allowed to believe. And what that does to someone psychologically when they know the truth, but they can't speak.
Quick reminder, this podcast is intended for mature audiences. Minds Over Magic may include discussion of adult themes, strong language, violence, and sexually explicit content, especially as they relate to the romantasy novels we cover. Listener discretion is advised.
And as per usual, Katya, you're going to give us a recap of the chapters we are discussing today.
All right, let's do it. So, chapter 6. After Aetos Sr. delivers his threats that Violet should keep her mouth shut about Resen or something might happen either to her or Mira, he leaves with Varish, and Violet releases her built-up frustration, aka lightning, in the courtyard. Zayton also departs for his new duty station, but Rhiannon has some news. Dane is now their wing leader. Though there is a silver lining, Rhiannon is their new squad leader. Chapter 7. Second-year riders have a new class called Riders Survival Course, RSC for short, and a new professor, Professor Grady, who seems pleasant enough. The course aims to teach them how to survive if they get separated from their dragons behind the enemy lines and how to withstand torture. And the cadets will face tests and trials throughout the year, as if Violet doesn't have enough on her plate. But our girl is following her new purpose. She's back in the archives and determined to start her research on ward weaving. She carefully asked Jesinia for books about the history of Basgiath, secretly hoping to find some information about St. Wardstone and use it for a Risha. Chapter 8. It's Conscription Day. Violet, Nadine, Rhiannon, and Dane are awaiting for the candidates to make it to the top of the tower before starting their journey over the parapet. Violet doesn't want to remember the names or faces of the candidates. She doesn't want to get attached until she knows they survived threshing. To Dane and Violet's surprise, they meet an old friend. King Tauri's youngest son has decided to join the quadrant, using a false name. Violet tells him to join their squad once he makes it across the parapet. She tells Rhiannon the truth of his real identity, something she can actually share with her. And then Liam's little sister joins the chat. And oh boy, she hates Violet. She blames her for Liam's death. Violet doesn't deny it, but she still breaks the rules and gives Sloane the same advice Mira once gave her before the parapet. And Sloane makes it across. Dane picks up on what Violet is doing and pulls the strings to move Sloane to their squad during the formation. Sloane tries to argue, but Imogen shuts her down. During the ceremony, dragons arrive and Varish's dragon Solus tortures not only the cadets who were trying to flee, but also most of Third Squad, included Bondin riders and Kieran, one of the riders who was at Resen. Violet saves Sloane. As Solus prepares to breathe fire again, Tear arrives and threatens him. Chapter 9. Violet doesn't sleep well as she's plagued by the nightmares from Resen. Her and Imogen start morning runs. Violet fears that she won't be able to outrun Venin when they drain the ground. Rhiannon, still in the dark about everything that happened in Resen, is puzzled by Violet's sudden love for running and her growing friendship with Imogen. During the first battle brief of the year, Violet learns that the destruction of Resen is being officially portrayed as the result of Baromish unrest. Rhiannon also raises her concern that Nolan looks absolutely exhausted and no one can get an appointment with him for mending. Violet skips lunch with her friends in favor of reading the books she borrows from the archives. During sparring assessment in the gym, Sloane demands to fight Violet, thinking that she can easily win after hearing about Violet's weak joints and bones, but she's told to stand down by Imatero and Imogen. They encounter Jack Barlow Jr., who is looking for Violet. Nadine jokingly steps forward, saying that she is Violet, and the first year snaps her neck. Chapter 10. Violet immediately challenges the murderer and ends him, but not before he tries to strangle her on the mat and whispers, "Secrets die with the people who keep them." Looks like Aetos Sr. sent a walk-in message. Dane tries to help Violet, but she shouts at him not to touch her. Empyrean declares that she is concussed, but Violet chooses to stay and watch the end of the assessment day. Arik and Sloane are paired against each other, and Arik easily wins. The squad is horrified as they realize Sloane cannot fight. She doesn't have any of her brother's skills. Violet returns to her room, finding Xaden there waiting for her. He brings Violet food while she's getting cleaned up. He tells her about Samara and that he warded her room in Basgiath and his room in Samara against sound and unwanted guests. People have to be physically pulled inside to enter. Xaden leaves Violet to rest as he leaves on the revolution business, but he gives her a letter that he wrote for her. He wants Violet to get to know him better. So, Catherine, what are your first impressions of these chapters?
My first impressions were good. I liked it. I love it now that Violet's moving into a different role. She's not always so suspicious and she's not always the underdog. Now she's kind of moving into a leadership role, which I love. Mm-hmm. I love Liam's sister. They're going to be besties. So she's just going to teach her how to fight. Like Xaden taught her. He's going to teach her how to use her weakness into strengths, blah, blah, blah. So that's lovely. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen, but
yeah. That's what you think is going to happen.
I'm just guessing. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Sounds good. I think this time in book 1, Violet is feeling terrified, right? With just survival in mind. But this time in book 2, she is this powerful woman with this kick-ass signet, strongest dragon, like, she's got fighting skills. And yet she's still terrified, right? But for a different reason. She knows the truth can get her killed and can get her friends killed, can get her family killed. All this power, but she's still powerless, right? Because she simply cannot share the truth or her experiences. So I was thinking, why don't we look at what exactly makes Violet nervous in this stretch of chapters?
Okay.
Now, from the start, it's the threat from Aetos Senior, right? Secrets die with the people who keep them. And then he alludes not only to Violet being in danger, but also Mira. So my first question to you, Catherine, is what is Aetos Senior doing at this point? Is this manipulation or what is this tactic?
I think it's actually more than manipulation. I think it's more coercive control. So coercion is when influence is backed by threat and it removes the choice. So Aetos is trying to persuade Violet. He's shaping her behavior through fear, making the consequences painfully clear. And what makes this especially powerful psychologically is that he doesn't just threaten her. He extends the threat to her sister Mira. That's very strategic. And when you do that, and when you can't be controlled directly, systems target your attachments, which we see a lot in movies and in, governments. And that's why people that are in high positions that can't tell things tend to not have families or tend to, make sure that no one knows who their family is.
Yeah, it's true, actually. Some world leaders give their children fake names, right? Like people tend to discover them anyway. Like, you have investigative journalists and, but yeah, it's true. Because you want them to have a relatively normal life, right? Also want to protect them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Same with the celebrities as well.
I was just going to say that. Celebrities, children use different names. I mean, even in this, whose son was that?
Oh, King Tauri's son, yeah.
King Tauri's son, came under a different name.
Yeah.
And Violet's like, wait a second.
Yeah. But in this case, he's trying to hide from his dad. Which I absolutely love. Oh, we'll talk about Arik later. But yeah, I wonder if Dane's dad is just, he's going for this tactic because it's like his, favorite go-to, or whether it's because he just knows Violet, that he's threatening Mira. That is probably more meaningful to Violet than if he tried to just threaten Violet on her own. Going for family or friends is probably her weakness.
Absolutely. It's everybody's weakness.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
That's how you get most people is you threaten their family.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even when you're making jokes, you can make jokes about your own family, but don't you make jokes about my family. Because I think there's that bond there again, like we talked about last week. It's that blood bond, you know?
Yeah. At what point does influence in a relationship cross into coercion?
Into coercion. So it crosses the line the moment fear replaces freedom. So healthy influence allows for disagreement. You can say no and still feel safe. Coercion says you can choose, but you'll pay for it. So the question becomes, are you acting because you agree, or because you're afraid what will happen to you if you don't? And that's that psychological shift. I think that happens in a lot of places, in a lot of different situations. Maybe in universities where you don't really agree with the professor, but you say you agree because you don't really want any backlash. You want a good grade.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. University schools, job, agreeing with management all the time.
100%. And, because they say there's no retribution, but there is retribution.
Yeah.
When you stand up for yourself, because you're just known as the person that has a big mouth,
like this joke about when you get a phone call from HR. I'm calling you because you haven't filled in that anonymous survey.
Exactly. I remember one time I was going into a meeting and I wanted HR present just because I didn't trust the people I was going in the meeting for. HR wasn't available.
Well, that's bad.
It happens in smaller companies, I think, more so like in family-run businesses and those kind of things. Mm-hmm. So it's really, coercion is a tricky thing, but strategically you can fight it. You cannot be manipulated or gaslit from it. You would just have to know inside, you have to have those trusted people around you. Mm-hmm. And I'm lucky because even in my career, throughout my whole life, I've had amazing, very brilliant friends that also are in the same path that I can call up, like literally right now. I know there's 3 to 5 people that I could just pick up the phone and call. They would answer and they would be there for me as I would for them, maybe not this second. Maybe they're so busy, but 5 more minutes.
Yeah. I'm just thinking that if you went through something like that, it might actually stay with you, right? And you might act a certain way. Like, for example, if it happened to you in your previous job, you go into the new job and you like keep your mouth shut, you bite your tongue, even though there's absolutely no reason to be like that with the new job, but you had this experience.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember I told you about that new job? I worked for one of the CEOs and they would call me in their office. Amazing mentor. Charles, amazing. My favorite. And he's probably not listening to this podcast. Maybe he will. But he used to call me in his office in the morning. Almost every morning we just check in, and it was the best thing for my life because it took away all the past trauma of going into the boss's office. Even if I wasn't in trouble, I still would feel like, oh no, I'm going to the boss's office. And that's how everyone feels, like you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But I would go into the boss's office, almost every day. And we developed a relationship so that I knew even if I had something difficult I needed to share, he mentored me through that. And he never judged. And he never, he believed in me. And I think that's really shaped who I am as a leader now.
Yeah.
Because and a therapist, because I believe in everybody. Yeah. I mean, even Dane, I believe in Dane. I know he could change if he wants to. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I still, I'm on the fence with him. But I truly believe that everyone has an option to be good.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think once, as a younger person, you're probably more susceptible to coercion.
I mean, older people too. Look, it's everywhere. In every organization, there's always going to be like hierarchy and politics and policies. And so if you're going to follow the rules, you've got to stay lined up. So that's coercion, right? I mean, it's not to the point where it's like CIA, MI6 type stuff, but there's definitely alludes to that. And universities that you go to, colleges, you have standards, you have reputations, and it's a lot to handle. It's hard to navigate, especially younger, but older even too. Sometimes when you're older, you just want to get through the day, just tired of fighting.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you just like, I don't want to deal with this, and leave it to somebody else. They can sort it out. Yeah, that does
Yeah.
happen.
I'm on my way out, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so Colonel Aetos made a threat. And then his buddy, Varish, we know he's his buddy because Dane actually told that to Violet and Rhiannon before the parapet.
Mm-hmm.
But Varish demonstrated that they can and will follow through. Like the whole scene at Conscription Day at the formation was absolutely mad. I did not see that coming when I was reading that. I was just, I kind of just expected, something more fun or something. But that was just shocking. I don't think it was an accident in any way.
No.
I think they are ready to take out the whole wing just to eliminate one person. And I think that's what they did with Kieran. And I think if Taryn hadn't interfered, Solus would have gone for Violet. He would have blasted it again, and then their escort would have been gone.
Yeah.
So what is the tactic here? Is this control through fear?
100%. It's public terror as a control mechanism. So what happens on Conscription Day isn't just violence. It's a message. It tells everyone there's no safe places, no protected moments, no rules that we won't break. I'm thinking of Hunger Games. You know how they had the quadrants, they had the different districts. And there's so many movies out there where they spread fear so that nothing is safe. There's always someone in some kind of place that's going to rat you out. You know what I mean? So it's spreading this message of fear. Psychologically, that creates something that we call learned helplessness. And people stop resting because they agree, because the resistance feels pointless or it feels deadly.
Yeah.
And it's not about controlling the person anymore. It's just about controlling the entire environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in that moment, okay, Violet, Imogen, who else was there? They get the message, right? This is like they need to keep their mouth shut. But for everybody else, there is not even why? It's just you're not safe. It's so terrifying. These kids who just crossed the parapet.
Terrified.
I have no idea. But then the second years and third years are kind of like, oh yeah, we know the lay of the land. We know what to expect. And this happens. Everybody just loses their footing. It's terrifying. I mean, Varish is, I genuinely like villains, but Varish is just a new level.
A new low.
New low, yeah. I don't even know if they want to control Violet anymore, to be honest, or if they just want to get rid of her.
I think they realize how powerful she is, and because of her connections, maybe. I don't know. At this point, I think if they just get rid of the threat, it'll be fine. It's very hard to get rid of her, though.
Yeah. Well, that's another reason for everybody in Basgiath to have therapy. Varish. But let's talk about disinformation. So, Battle Breath class. That's an interesting one. This is their first one this year. And again, Violet straight away assesses Markham. She's looking at him. Does he know? Obviously he does, because as scribes, they probably know a lot more. But she's wondering whether he knows. It reminded me a bit of Friends. They know that we know they know.
They know that we know that they know.
Yeah, exactly. So did Aetos tell him or not? What do you think? Do you think Markham changed his mind about Violet, or does he still have a soft spot for her because she was his star pupil?
I mean, as a professor, you always remember your star pupils. I think he'll always have a soft spot for her.
Even though she knows the truth now.
I do. I mean, I don't know how it's going to be written, but I know that if I knew the truth and I had to, teach something that probably wasn't the truth, and then, because I mean, in my day and age of teaching, sometimes we have to make sure that we're following the syllabus according to all the other teachers. It's hard to change it. You don't want to just go off the rails. So you're teaching something and you might not, I mean, it's not life or death. So it's not that big of a deal. But if I have a star pupil and then they would question it, I would have respect for them. And I would still have that soft spot, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I guess it depends on how decent Markham is, right? We don't know what he's like. at this
Yeah.
point. So he frames the destruction of Resin as the result of local unrest. I assume that a team from Navarre came to Resin afterwards to clean it up, all the dead wyverns and venin, before letting the riders go back to Athbeen, right? Because Athbeen was empty. So what is the control tactic here? Would you describe this as like gaslighting, or is it something different?
Yeah, it's systemic gaslighting.
Okay.
So it's even more powerful than interpersonal gaslighting. So gaslighting at an individual level makes you question your memory, makes you question, hey, did I make that choice or not? Systemic gaslighting makes you question reality itself. So because the entire authority structure is reinforcing the false negative or the false narrative, when Violet hears that Resin was just unrest, she was placed in an impossible position. So do I trust what I saw or what everyone else in power is telling me to see or telling me what is true? And over time, the kind of pressure doesn't just create confusion, it creates silence. And you can see even in our history of the world, a lot of huge leaders have tried to just erase things that have happened. And I know this is controversial, but like Chernobyl, I was watching a not documentary, but one of these shows, and I was just like, they didn't even know, you know. And after the documentary of it comes out, it's heartbreaking, but it's what happens all the time, and you see it over and over in history.
Yeah, I think what I'm grateful for nowadays, I know that you can choose which TV channel to watch, which news to read, but we live in the world where you can, for example, watch German news or watch French news, you know, and get like totally different perspective. And actually that's what my husband loves doing, is that whenever something happens, he would go and watch news of a country that's not involved.
Oh, nice.
And he's like, he finds it most helpful, you know, to kind of like get what actually is happening, because, you know, if the country is involved, there is still like some kind of bias there.
Yeah.
You know, so, and yeah, it's much harder now to hide things. I mean, it still happens, but you know, there's so many journalists and
influencers too, like different people, like random people are taking videos. What I love about news and things today is I really don't know what's true. Like you really don't know anymore. They're throwing everything out there. And so I just really pay attention. Like you said, I pay attention to outside. I pay attention to other views. I look at the you know, the people on either side. And I just pay attention. And, you know, you really have to keep your eyes out, even though, because some people just want to, it's so much, they just want to bury their head in the sand.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who don't watch news at all.
Yeah. It's because they can't, it's not happening to them.
Yes.
So if it's not affecting me, look at every charity that's ever been made. And someone who started it, it's because something affected them or a family member.
That's true.
Every single person.
Yeah.
So every charge, and which is wonderful and beautiful. They make something beautiful and they help people. They bring awareness to things because of their own tragedy.
Yes.
But if you don't have that type of tragedy in your life, you're not as susceptible to be giving to it, unless you're like best of friends or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So I try to be open. It's just hard though, because you can't be, you know, you can't support every single thing. But I try to be sensitive either way.
Yeah. It's like Ricky Gervais. He was getting messages from people. They were asking him not to make jokes about certain things. You know, it's like, oh, you can't joke about this because of, you know, history. And he then put on social media, he said, please send me your opinion, what I should not be joking about. And he said, things that he got, some of them was so specific.
Wow.
You know, for example, you can't joke about cancer, but not any cancer, but the very specific type of cancer, because that particular person either went through or their loved ones went through that, and it's painful for them. And I found it very interesting. He's like, you know, we're all different. We all have different level of tolerance, and we have different experience as well. So yeah, it's the same with news. Sometimes you just don't want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to bury your head and pretend that you live in your little bubble and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, our characters, I don't know, fortunately, unfortunately, but our characters don't have this luxury.
Right.
Living in Basgiath, you face this every day.
Yeah. And you have to choose your reality. You have to say, wait, is this really happening? Is this really the answer? Because you trust people in authority.
Yeah.
You trust them to have integrity.
Yeah.
And what the track records say is, I don't know if a large percentage of them do. I think they're motivated by greed mostly.
Yeah. When I was little, I used to, watch the news and there will be some kind of summit, something the world leaders. And I would look on my TV screen and thinking, wow, these are like the smartest people in the world. I always thought that, to become a world leader, you have to be the best. Kind of changed my mind about that.
It's unfortunately either. I know it's hard, huh? Because they're smart in different ways. They're smart enough to get there, I guess.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
They put smart people around them.
Yeah, it's the team, right? You have to have a strong team.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay.
We digress.
Yes. So what does gaslighting do to someone psychologically when they live through his experience? When like something is publicly denied.
What I think it does is it creates like this cognitive dissonance and isolation. So where your lived experience is denied publicly, you split internally. So I know what I saw, but everyone else is saying something different. And that's cognitive dissonance. That kind of separates things. Mm-hmm. And if speaking the truth is dangerous, people don't just doubt themselves. They start to self-silence, So I'm a big advocate. If I'm in a room and I never did this when I was younger. Well, maybe I did. I don't know. It was pretty smarty. It's pretty smart. But when people say something or men say something, and I love men. I think they're unique and different. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But when they're in a room and they say something that's demeaning, and I just call them out just for fun. Like, it's just funny to me how we can, and like live different. I guess we do that when I was teaching like microaggressions. So maybe they would be inappropriate around maybe someone, the way they dress, or a different race, or a different anything. I would literally, if I'm in that group, I would call them out and say, okay, well, so tell me more about that, or something. And I think that sparks, because I think the people silent in those types of groups tend to just be okay with someone saying something that very well is not true, or it's a stereotype or something like that.
Yeah.
However, I do choose my battles. So I've gotten better over the years to be more vocal about it, but it's definitely not popular.
Yeah. But I find that sometimes it's helpful, especially when people say something without thinking. They heard something and they just repeat somebody's opinion, and you're just like, oh, interesting. And then when people actually have to think about it, it might change their opinion. I think it's very helpful. Like, you probably as a professor use that with your students, when they just like something and you're like, oh, tell me about that. It happened to me when I was a student. I think I told you that because I labeled something as not normal. And my professor was like, oh, so what's normal? And I was like,
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was reading something the other day too on social media, or like the status quo, or what society says is okay. And people were like questioning, tell me what society you're talking about. Because there's all different societies. Like, skinny is society here. Bigger, the bigger you can get is society in certain parts of Africa. You know what I mean? There's different places where things are very challenged. And, I think, we have to kind of, I love it that we create the world around us too, but still we have to see kind of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we also have our own realities, our own experiences. And sometimes we just make a general statement, but we're actually thinking about something very specific.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense to other people.
I think silence is in context. It isn't compliance. It's survival.
So does this kind of narrative then make people more likely to question themselves or just stay silent?
Both.
And what makes people speak up?
Well, that's a good question. So that's what makes it so effective as well. So some people internalize the doubt and start questioning themselves, and others stay clear internally, but choose to silence externally. And most psychologically taxing place to be is when you know the truth, but you can't speak it. That's where Violet is living right now. Yes. So what I think is the three things that tend to break the silence, maybe safety. So even a small sense of speaking won't destroy you. I know that I have a community that I'm part of that, my friends and my close friends, where I'm allowed to speak clearly, speak even if they don't agree with me, and it's safe. And it doesn't destroy me. They love me no matter what. We just speak our mind. We throw things off. We, confront. Safety, connection, knowing you're not alone, and purpose. So believing the truth matters more than the cost. And this is where people get in trouble, and then die. Yeah. But also it's effective. So we're watching Violet slowly build those three, but she's not there yet in this book. It's just sometimes people speak out of turn, like the truth matters more than the cost, and it costs them their lives. Whereas you've got to be strategic if you want to keep your life,
Do you think her strategy at this point is working or is kind of correct? Like she's moving in the right direction. Like she's staying silent at this point and she is accumulating information. She's trying to figure out how to fight this, before just like going and like blabbing. Like, I know what you did last summer.
Right. I know the truth. Because it just makes her look crazy if she does it too soon.
Yeah.
There's a lot of examples of this in the world. So unfortunately, I think that she's on the right track. I think at this point, she's protecting herself and she's developing a strategy. Yeah. That's what I would do. I wouldn't say anything right now. I would wait until it's time, until it's the most effective, because remember, whoever says it has to be credible as well. So I would build credibility. I would do my research. I wouldn't just go off, but I would start building credibility and I would stay quiet. Comes a point, and I think we've seen many examples of this, where people can't handle that. They can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
And she's worried, right? She's worried about Rhiannon. Like Rhiannon started sharing her suspicions about Healer's Quadrant, what's happening, and Violet straight away, oh my God. What did she figure it out? Does she know that there's some things are being covered up? She's worried about her friends. So she's not ready to share anything with them at this point.
Oh, and now she should know. She should know how that felt with Xaden, because he couldn't tell her either. So this whole trust, I don't know if I should truly trust. Come on, Violet, you're beating a dead horse here. You're doing the same thing you've been doing all along.
She's just trying to punish Satan.
She's just being a girl.
She's being a girl. Yeah, I agree.
In love. A girl in love. Yes. A lady in love. And it's understandable, but she needs to find her place of peace in herself and know that.
She also survives another attempt on her life, right? And this time there is no doubt. It was Aetos Senior who sent the assassin. Even asked him to repeat the message so that Violet knows exactly what's happening. Okay. 5 points for clarity. So putting this all together, plus whatever suspicions Rhiannon now has about the Healer's Quadrant, this creates a really suffocating atmosphere for Violet at this point. I mean, she's been targeted by senior leadership or, influential people at least. It must be absolutely exhausting. Do you think it's that sense of purpose we discussed in our previous episode that helps her keep going? Or is she simply blocking out everything that causes her this stress?
I think it's a little bit of both as well. I think this is what actually makes, her very human. So her purpose is giving her direction. Her purpose is something to move towards. But her constant activity and the running and the researching and the functions are all of avoidance as well. So she's managing her overwhelming feelings by staying in motion. The problem is what isn't processed doesn't disappear. So it shows up in her dreams, in her body, in her hypervigilance. So that's like where I get a lot of clients that we start talking about things and they're like, I'm dreaming again. Things are coming up because they're processing it. So what isn't processed doesn't disappear. It shows up in different areas of your life, in your dreams, in your body, in your hypervigilance. So when when you're holding everything in, it's going to come out in some other way. But what she's trying to do is balance the two, stay in motion, stay busy, get some kind of purpose. And then I think hopefully we'll see some action. We'll see some things happening. Okay.
A quick question. So do dreams count as processing? Like if she's dreaming about something, or is it just a sign that she's not processing?
Unconscious processing.
Okay.
So what happens, you're always dreaming, you just don't remember them. Right? So your brain, your parasympathetic nervous system starts to really process things when you go to sleep. Sometimes that REM sleep or that type, you don't get deep enough because, it could be due to alcohol or stress, or maybe you've been up too late. And there's certain things that cause us not to necessarily dream. But if you're having like nightmares or night terrors, due to some kind of trauma, well, you're just not processing the trauma. So it's showing up in your dreams, or it's showing up in different areas. So yeah, but also I think it can hinder that as well. So yeah, dreams are difficult. I'm not a master of dream psychology. I'm not a dream master, but I do know for myself, when I have certain dreams, I pay attention to them and I just wake up and feel, how do I feel after that dream?
So no matter how much Violet tries to block it out, it still chases her, right? Even when she's sleeping, talking about dreams, like she has this recurring dreams from Resin. In this particular case, do you think running actually helps? Or do you think it can actually fuel her fears even more? Making her think about it, like thinking about the horrors that happen and, like, oh my God, I need to run, I need to get faster. Do you think it's helpful?
Yeah. Well, I think it does help for some, but what she needs, she needs three things to not necessarily burn out, because she's trying to combat that. It helps the serotonin, like when you run and when you exercise for a period of like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or more, you're getting your adrenaline up, but it's also replenishing the serotonin in your brain. It's helping with activity. So when people are depressed or they're anxious, movement is amazing. It's great. Fresh air, sun, everything. But what she needs, I think she needs safe connection. So someone she can be fully honest with. Emotional processing, which is not just thinking, but actually thinking and feeling what happened at Resin at the same time and talking it through. And then moments of psychological rest. So not just physical recovery, but spaces where she can sit and not be in survival mode, and just have that recovery time. Because right now she's functioning, but she's not recovering.
Yeah.
So in her to keep running, it's a distraction. I mean, it's a healthy distraction. It's better than her, drinking every night, right? Or, or cutting or something else that helps stop her pain. But, it's helpful and it's beautiful for the brain and the body. It's just that it's the trauma is still there. The history is still there.
Which actually we see her wanting those things, right? She says she wants to be with Imogen and Bodhi during the battle brief. She wants to talk to them. She wants to connect with them. And with a safe space, actually Zayden gave it to her. Well, I mean, if it counts, right? Like he wooded her room. He explains to her that, because she says, well, Rhiannon couldn't come in. Like she tried to come in and he's like, yeah, it's wooded. Like you have to physically pull a person into the room. So it is kind of her space. It is kind of her safe space, her room, that at least nobody can come in. Probably not enough, but at least it's something.
Yeah. She can't control everything.
Well, I mean, the silver linings of these chapters. I mean, it's quite heavy for Violet, like everything what happened. And I do feel really, really sorry for her. But, at least we meet a couple of new characters, right? We talked about Sloane a little bit. And I love how Imogen just tells you to shut up, a few times. It's like, no. But how about Arik? What do you think about the youngest prince?
He's been interesting. I think he represents like a chosen identity. So he's stepping out of privilege, trying to redefine himself.
Okay.
Whereas I think Sloane, she represents some misplaced grief. Blame gives grief somewhere to go. So it's too overwhelming to sit with loss. But Violet comes in and she's the container for Sloane's pain for her brother,
Yeah, that's true.
But Eric is interesting. He's also, he comes in too. Some good characters come in.
Yeah. I wonder if, I never thought about it, even though I read this book a few times, but it's only now when I was like writing the outline for today's discussion, I thought, is he a new Liam? Like, I never thought of him but it's like, we lost Liam and now this guy comes in. It's just the reason why he reminded me of Liam at this point is that because, he's great at fighting. He's kind of like this calm person. He doesn't go shouting about like who he is, like the same kind of, would you call it modest? I don't know. Like Liam was the same, right? He obviously had his rebellion relic and sort of genuinely probably just kept low profile, maybe because of that. But it's kind of like, it just reminded me like Arik is just looking down, doesn't want to be recognized. Just wants to be in the quadrant. And just hiding from his father.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I love it that he's doing what he wants to do.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
But he has to step out of privilege, and that's a big, huge step. It's like the prince, taking off the prince's cloak and going with the peasants. And dressing like them, so he gets to learn what it's like. And I think that will make him a better leader in the long run.
You see him as a future king?
Well, I mean, he's got privilege, so he's got some kind of place to go,
I do wonder how, actually, it's a good point, because in real life, there are cases, when privileged kids walk out of that, privileged life, like, they kind of throw toys out of the pram and, I don't need anybody. And then they, come back, run into their parents, maybe a year later with, tail between their legs, like, oh, life is hard. So we'll see. Maybe Arik, I don't think Arik is the same, but, it is a good point.
Yeah. I don't think he was mad either, though. I don't think he ran and rebelled. I think he ran because he's got a purpose.
Yeah.
He's got a passion for fighting and stuff. But I don't know. I don't know him yet. He hasn't been developed yet.
And what do you think about Xaden writing letters for Violet?
I think that's actually very significant. I mean, he's creating a connection in the way that feels safe for him. And he structured it intentional and on his terms. So I almost want to call it controlled vulnerability.
Okay.
Because he's doing it on his terms, but he heard her.
Yes.
I know you need to get to know me, and I can try my hardest, but he's trying to do it, on his terms.
Yeah. And he found a way, right? I mean, he could have been like, well, we don't have time for this. As he says, we see each other once a week and there's no time for walks in the park, along the river, whatever he says. And he found a way to share information.
Yeah.
Yeah, something personal, something that is, probably important to him. Or that's something that he wants her to know. Oh, Xaden.
Oh, we like Xaden.
We
so
like Xaden.
Sweet.
I think this is where we're going to leave our discussion for today and move to our favorite segment, Who Needs Therapy?
Gosh, again, I mean, Basgiath, it's an institution that needs therapy is what it needs. It needs institutional therapy. However, but obviously Violet, she's probably ongoing for her hypervigilance and trauma, around that chronic need to be vigilant to, make sure she's not either being killed or being lied to, or facing the truth, or whatever, Sloane, probably for her grief, for her unresolved grief about her brother.
Yeah.
And honestly, the entire quadrant, because they're functioning like inside a system built on fear, silence, and distorted reality.
Yeah. They're so proud of being riders, right? Like, it's such a privilege to be a dragon rider and go to Basgiath and, survive. And at the same time, you're just being absolutely like broken by the system.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, thank you, Catherine. Before we wrap up, let's look at our Minds of Magic moments for this week. Something that made us feel, something that stayed with us. What is it for you this week?
Well, first of all, I have to say I really loved the fight scene with Violet and the new cadet. I really liked that scene because I knew she was going to win, because she can't die, right? As you read it, it seems realistic, like it could actually happen, the way that it happened. So that stood out to me, and she won, and she got more respect, more street cred. But psychologically, I think there's some tension in the chapter. So the truth isn't just dangerous, it's isolating. And Violet is carrying something that could cost her everything, but staying silent must cost her just as much. So I feel the tension,
Yeah. So. For me, I think, I agree. The whole Nadine thing was just crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. But I would say Dane. Surprise, surprise. For various reasons. Like, one reason is just they just don't treat him like they did treat Zayden. It's almost like, shut up, Aetos, Rhiannon tells him off, Violet tells him off. He's just like completely no respect for him.
Yeah.
But then the offering that he did for Violet, when he brought Sloane to their squad. And it just reminded me of Fourth Wing, when another wing leader moved another person. Well, he moved the whole squad into his wing. So that also reminded me, of that. And I don't know, it just stayed with me.
Aww.
I know. Oh, well, that's it for today. Our next episode, we are diving back into Iron Flame and discussing chapters 11 to 15, where Violet travels to Samara. Varish once again shows that what he's capable of, and teamwork skills are put to the test.
Yay, I'm excited. Follow us on Instagram and at Minds Over Magic, or email us at mindsovermagicpodcast@gmail.com with your questions, comments, or Romantasy Rex.
Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share with your fellow magic-minded friends. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and let us know in the comments what you think about these chapters.
And until next time, keep your mind sharp and your heart open.
Bye-bye.